Hey everybody, this is Matt Grace, and I'm going to be sharing my ESL tech packet for teachers in China. I've been teaching for about 4 years in China, and I came back to the US to get a master's degree in teaching English as a second language. So that's what I'm doing. Part of that is creating a packet to help out with other teachers doing what I do. So here's a little spiel about it. You don't need to read it now. You can read it later. And I've got 5 categories of different resources. I've just kind of started this website, so it doesn't look very pretty, but it does have all the important stuff. So here we've got TEFL and TESOL specific stuff, listening, reading, IELTS, and TOEFL resources. And then for any classroom, we've got transforming the classroom and lesson planning. So we'll go through those one by one here. So let's start with listening. So as you can see up here, we've got levels listed: B for beginner, I for intermediate, A for advanced. And I've just got those listed here under each link. So ESL Lab is kind of my go-to place in China. It always loads pretty quick, which is nice. Some of these websites sometimes load slowly, depending on the time of day in China, I guess. What I would suggest you use this for is for homework. So for instance, you can click on it here, and it'll take you to the website. And you can see this is ESL Cyber Listening Lab. And it says here, this website has an excellent collection of 30-second to 2-minute MP3s. Each MP3 has a listening portion with a quiz and other activities, as well as pre and post exercises. Suggested use that I have for this is just for homework, because as you can see here, there's just a million different exercises. You click on one, pre-exercise, listening, a little quiz to go with the listening, read the quiz script, do your post-exercise stuff, and be finished. All right, so there's also here English Teacher Melanie, podcasts. They all have different things that I've written up about them, and according to the different levels that they're useful for as well. So come back over here. You see you can always navigate from the left side. Reading. Got some reading resources: ESL Lounge, e-reading worksheets, and Power Score. These are also just kind of separated by difficulty level. You can see that's going to be the same for all these. IELTS and TOEFL. So many students in China trying to go to America or Europe to study, or Australia, and they need one of these 2 tests, usually the IELTS. So ESL Lab has a bunch of TOEFL stuff. Then here I've got a whole big list of IELTS practice tests. This website specifically, this YouTube channel, has about 40 different IELTS listening practice tests. So it's a great place to start. These guys have full practice tests of all 4 areas on the IELTS. And then IELTS for free. This is pretty much my favorite website for finding resources. It's just a huge library of past test questions and strategies for the IELTS. We've got moving into kind of more along the lines of how to do class rather than resources for class. So transforming your classroom. This semester, we went over a bunch of different models, but these are the 3 that I'm going to look at. First off, we've got the class response systems. This is basically like what they call clickers in the US, but we're not going to have clickers in China, obviously, because they don't have those there that I've ever seen. So using phones is a great way to do it. And these 2 apps are both available to Chinese people. They're not blocked or anything. If you want to watch a video, what that is, basically what it is you can ask questions in class, have them pre-programmed before class, and it'll pop up on the students' screens. And as they answer it, you can see their answers in real time. So this is just really useful whenever you're trying to figure out if students are able to follow along or if everybody's lost. It really helps to adjust on the fly in the middle of your lessons. Of course, it could also help if you wanted to give a test that way. You could probably grade your test much easier because immediately you'd have whether they were right or wrong. These are both free. They have paid options which have extra resources. The second thing is learning management systems. So I don't know if you've been to college lately or a master's degree or anything like that, but Blackboard or Moodle, lots of different things like that are available. But in China, these are the only two I've found available: Schoology, and Edmodo. And basically what these do is they just keep track of your student information, and it allows you to disseminate information to students and parents much easier. So here you can see a video of that being explained more in depth, and then a whole article about using them. And then the last thing here is a flipped classroom. This is probably my favorite new thing, as I think it's really useful for ESL learners. So basically what you do is you take your lecture, which you usually do in class, make a video of it, and do it out of class for their homework. And then in class, you have your assignments that you would use for homework. The students are doing that in class with the teacher. I think this is just a great model for ESL students or ELLs, English language learners, because when they go home, their parents almost definitely are not going to be able to help them with their homework. Because if they can't speak English, obviously their parents are not going to be speaking English either. So taking that and changing it around where they're listening to the lectures at home, well, that might even give their parents a chance to listen to the lectures. Their parents might be able to learn something. But then secondly, whenever they need help as they're doing their homework, they're able to get it from you, the teacher. So I really like this idea. Now, you can't use YouTube, which is much easier. So in China, you could use Youku or maybe WeChat. I would probably prefer WeChat. I just make a video and then I'll send it over WeChat to my class groups. Each of my classes has a group on WeChat, and that would be their homework. And then in class, we'll work on it. So here's some different videos explaining it and an example of it in action. And then they have a whole website just devoted to flipped learning. So it's, I really enjoy this model. So I would recommend it. Of course, I recommend everything on this website because I made it. So here, as for lesson planning, there are three things that we kind of want to keep in mind. So first thing is just having a lesson plan repository. These are two that are available to get to in China, Share My Lesson and Curriki. They're both great places to get and share lessons if you want to share with other people. So many lessons on these sites. And then we've got these lesson plan models. So there's a lot of these, but the two that I've been working with most has been the game lesson plan and the PSYOP lesson plan. The game lesson plan is more focused on these standards, which is what we'll get to next, these ISTE standards, which are basically standards for getting technology into the classroom so that students are more prepared to actually use what they're learning in today's digital age. And so this game lesson plan is kind of focused around making sure that you have tech in your classroom. There's a little book that's pretty cheap that kind of explains all that in depth. There's also videos on it that are free on YouTube. And the second kind of lesson plan model that I've gone through is PSYOP. And PSYOP, I really think, is a great lesson plan model for ESL students. The only problem is it doesn't integrate some of the game lesson plan stuff that has to do with technology. So I think you could easily integrate these two lesson plans together, which is what I've done with mine usually. And here's the book on it, which is also pretty cheap, and the video, which is obviously free. I definitely recommend using these templates. What they'll help you do is just make sure you hit all the important points in your lesson and make sure that you're being thorough, basically. And then as for the standards, so the PSYOP lesson doesn't use any specific standards. So you could use the TESOL or the AIR standards. The TESOL is the International English Teaching Association. These are their standards. And then the American Institute for Research has their own set of standards. These don't really disagree. They're just worded a little bit differently, basically, maybe a little bit different. And then ISTE, I kind of use as my secondary standards now that I've learned about them. It's just a great way to make sure you're getting tech in the classroom, which is really important if you're wanting students to learn how to listen. They just have to have that continuous input from native speakers, and the best way to get that when they're in China is either to be with you 24/7, which you probably don't want to do, or get them some good technology, whether it's some of these websites we listed here or other apps or podcasts. So that is the learning packet that I put together. Please, if you have any questions or you want to contact me, just click on that, contact me. There's my email address right there. Send me an email or put a little chat in there. You're welcome to call me if you want to call from China, but you don't have to. Yeah, so that is the packet. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.